A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Hello, good morning, Anjum. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for coming and joining our podcast. Homeopathy 24/7 podcast is a new thing that we're just starting and hopefully helping people understand a little bit more about homeopathy and homeopaths. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Mary. Thank you for having me on. So my name is Anjum Rahmatulla. I work in Edinburgh in Scotland. I qualified roughly about 20 years ago. I've stopped counting now. And I trained in Edinburgh at the Edinburgh College of Classical Homeopathy, I think it was called at the time. I lived and worked in Dundee, which is north of Edinburgh, for many years. I now live in Edinburgh and I work internationally. And I guess that was the silver lining of the pandemic for me to start working online. And that's the majority of my consultations are now online.
Fantastic. That's great. So that means that obviously you've got the best of both worlds. You can live in a beautiful place. You don't have to go far to go to work, and you can see people around the world.
Absolutely. I see people across the UK as well as internationally, the USA, Canada, Australia, usually the English-speaking world. But and through Homeopathy 24/7, of course, we have lots of homeopaths who speak different languages. So there's a huge potential there.
Yes. It means that we're just available, aren't we, to help more and more people that become aware of homeopathy. What is it that you love about homeopathy? Why are you a homeopath?
Why am I a homeopath? I am a homeopath, firstly, because it started with me being treated for an accident and also for backache during pregnancy with homeopathy. And then when I had children, I think that was probably the main trigger for me to look at more natural, less invasive, non-drug alternatives. And that is exactly what homeopathy is. I love homeopathy because it gives people a choice as to how to look after your health. That's the first thing. The second thing is it's natural in the sense that it stimulates your own body to start the healing process. It looks at the whole person. It's holistic. So it's not just looking at the arthritis or your menstrual problems just on their own. It's looking at them in the context of who you are as a person. And I guess that's fundamental for me. I'm interested in people, and it gives me the opportunity. It's a gift to be able to speak to people and to hear their stories.
Yes, absolutely. I can completely agree with that. And the opportunity perhaps to help people understand what their symptoms are trying to tell them.
Yes. So usually in the conventional model, a symptom like a headache or a sore throat, you take a paracetamol, get rid of it. In the homeopathic model, obviously people come to you for help with headaches and sore throats and so on. But you look at the symptoms in a slightly different way. They are trying to tell you something about something that's out of balance in your system. And that's the starting point. It's not the end of it. You then explore what they are like as a person. So there are two ways of treating people. There's the acute level where you just treat the headache and you're looking at quite a narrow picture. But if somebody has recurring headaches, recurring sore throats, then you need to look at a much bigger picture. And what I mean by that is that you need to build like a jigsaw of the person. That's my favorite analogy. But you have to go back in time. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to join the dots. You know, you're not looking at the person today, but you're looking at what they were like earlier and the accumulation of experiences that has made them what they are today.
Okay. So have you got any examples of cases that you had to explore? They come to you with a particular symptom or diagnosis, and you've had to explore the background to find out what has led to this symptom.
Okay, I can talk about a couple of people that I saw, and this is many years ago whilst I was still in Dundee. So the first one is a 13-year-old boy who came to me with symptoms of what they said were dairy intolerance or allergy. And he had, it was quite distressing for him because he would have really bloody, slimy stools. And he'd gone to the doctor, they'd had him tested, all the usual stuff, all had been done. They'd given him something which had helped, but it wasn't really getting very far. So when he came to me, I got the details of his bowel issues, but then I looked at what he was like as a person. He was an extrovert. He loved socializing. He was quite hyper in his personality. I also looked at what kind of, whether he was comfortable in, whether he was a hot or a cold child, what kind of food that he liked and didn't like. What are the other things that you look at? What his sleep was like? Was there anything in particular that he was scared of? For example, the dark, which can be quite common, but there are loads of children who are not scared of the dark. Is there any particular animal that they're scared of? Are they claustrophobic? And so on. So you're building up this picture of this person. And there are very specific things that we as homeopaths need to know. It's not just a generalized jigsaw that you're setting up. It's a very specific one. Any dreams that they might have. And once you've built up, you've got enough information to build up a picture, you then have to match it with a remedy or a number of remedies that we have in our materia medicas. The remedy that I gave him was phosphorus, very well-known remedy.
Yes.
But it matched a lot of his symptoms, but in particular, it matched his personality and the fact that he was passing a lot of blood. And phosphorus is a remedy that's associated with blood loss.
Yes.
He also had a lot of nosebleeds, for example. It took about 2 months for the first couple of doses to start helping him. But because he was getting better on all accounts, I continued with the phosphorus. Now, the other thing that happened was that he had an allergy to cat's hair.
Okay.
And though that wasn't the purpose of the consultation as far as his mother was concerned, she just wanted some help with the bowels.
Yes.
His allergies got better. He was able to eat dairy again. For the first couple of months, if he ate dairy, like cheese or ice cream, his symptoms, his bowel symptoms, got at least 50% better. But after another 3 months, they disappeared. So it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes the first remedy may not do the job. So you need to look for another remedy that will help that process to go further. But in his case, the first remedy was all he needed. It needed to be repeated. Sometimes you need to change the potency. But I think about 6 years after I first saw him, so he would have been about 19 then, I was speaking to his mother and I said, how is he doing? And she said, oh, he's fine. No problems at all. So that was really, really nice to hear.
Amazing, isn't it? Because the great thing about homeopathy is that it's actually training the body to react in the right way, isn't it? And allowing the body to make changes rather than like with normal Western medicine, it's stopping an action dead, but it's not teaching the body. And perhaps that's why people sometimes get a little bit dismayed with homeopathy, because it does take time for the body to learn these new processes, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, any system of medicine that is going to help you is not a one pill wonder. Okay?
No.
A lot of our problems, and that's myself included, are problems that accumulate over time.
Okay.
Or they are a result of something that you might have inherited. And homeopathy has a provision for helping with inherited issues. I'm not going to go into that in any detail, but we have our remedies can have depth. They have depth of action, and we can use them in different ways. And we have so many different types of remedies that we can use to help people over time to get better, to make themselves stronger, and face the world for the challenges that we have.
Brilliant, isn't it? Now, I know a lot of people listening are going to be saying, oh my goodness, my child has got a dairy intolerance. I need phosphorus. What would you say to that?
I would say that every person is different, and you don't know what they're like until they walk in through the door, virtual or otherwise. That is what makes homeopathy so unique, is that we treat each individual as distinct from anybody else. So you don't get the same remedy as somebody else. You get the remedy that is right for you. So exploring what you are like as a person. So in this boy's case, he fitted the phosphorus picture. But that doesn't mean that the next person with similar symptoms will be the same in terms of their personality, in the way that they experience things in life, and in the way that they react to things in life. So the way that you get angry, the way that you get sad, the way you process your emotions, those give us a lot of help in terms of choosing a remedy. So yeah, every individual is different.
Okay, so what you're saying is if you had 10 people come to you with dairy intolerance, they might all have a different remedy?
Almost certainly.
Really?
Almost certainly.
Okay, yeah. Good. So it's just helping people understand exactly what we're doing and how we're working out this detective process, if you like, to put together, as you said, the jigsaw of you. So
it's actually detective work. That's a really good phrase, actually.
Okay, so and what we're saying is homeopathy is really, really good at helping the symptoms that normal Western medicine isn't so good at, because of course dairy allergies is very, very difficult to take a tablet and you're better, isn't it? Because it's not helping your gut. Your gut's saying, hang on a minute, I can't cope with this. And we actually need to change something in the gut. But homeopathy for those things that that other medicines aren't so good at really means that people should be trying homeopathy if nothing else has worked, shouldn't they?
Absolutely. I mean, I've always thought that this was something that was a reflection of me, that I never give up, whether as a mother with my children, when I was trying to treat them or taking them to a homeopath for treatment. If something didn't work, then I would try again, because I know that there are answers out there. Not everybody has all the answers, but if you were able to, if you really believe that there are ways of helping the body to resuscitate itself, to recover its healing capacity, there are ways out there, and sometimes it's not obvious, but I've always said to myself, I'm never going to take anything lying down. I'm going to carry on looking until something can help.
Yes, yeah. And just going back to your first case there, Anjum, it's really interesting what you're saying about the fact that also he had cat allergies. After treatment, he didn't have cat allergies. And we see this such a lot, don't we? That people come and say, can homeopathy help with these allergies? And we say, yes, of course it can. But quite often we're gaining this information through cases that aren't coming to us because of that one symptom. So, and you know, when we're taking a case, when we're seeing a client, we write, don't we? We write down everything.
Yes, and I suppose we take it for granted as homeopaths, but for people who are not familiar with it, I try and remember to say to them, look, when I'm meeting you, I'm going to be doing a lot of writing. And what I'm writing is actually the words that you're using. Yes. Because the words that people use are really important to give us clues about in which direction to look for remedies. So I'm a homeopath who uses the sensation method a lot of the time. And for that, the words can indicate to us whether somebody needs a plant remedy or an animal remedy or a mineral remedy. And if you don't write it down in the way that the patient has told you, then that information is lost, and you can't really do your job really well. But we have to listen carefully, and we have to write it down or type it down as is said by the patient.
Yes. It's interesting. I will come back and do another session on the sensation method, because everybody will be saying, now, what's this? So we'll have to do another session about that. But take us into your second case. What was that? Okay,
so my second case is of a young woman. She was about 21. She first came to me for an acute cystitis case. And then she came back to me because she told me that she had what she described as a bite problem, and she was grinding her teeth at night. And she said, I'm getting a lot of headaches. So is there anything that you can help with this? So I took her case, and I can't remember her first remedy, which helped, but the problem didn't really get resolved in any significant way. I ended up then giving her a remedy called Sepia, which is another well-known remedy. And now, why did I give her Sepia? It wasn't just for the grinding of the teeth, because when you look up our repertories, there are over 100 remedies that you might give someone if they grind their teeth at night. Yes. How do you choose?
Yes.
So you look at the person. You look at what they like. And so she told me a little bit about herself. And I'm actually going to quote her because
yes,
her own words say more than anything I can say. So there are 4 quotes. I'll try and be quick. In general, I feel very lonely. I meet my friends, but their lives are so very different from mine. They can count on other people, a husband or a mother, but I feel that if I will not solve things on my own, no one will do it for me. Very independent. Quote number 2, to avoid worrying, I try to go out a lot. I ride a bike, I ride a horse, I swim. My energy comes from active life. As soon as I sit in the office and just go home, I feel weak, lonely, and tired. Quote number 3, I feel well mentally, as the more occupied is my mind, the better it works. And the final one is, since I came back from Scotland, I did not manage to convince any of my friends to go dancing with me. So on Friday, I thought enough, and I went alone. At the beginning, I felt confused as everyone came, and everyone came with at least one friend. But the feeling disappeared quickly, and I had a great time dancing many hours and seeing how people see me. I love to dance. Now, that ticks all the boxes for Sepia. I mean, obviously, for people who are not familiar with the remedy, it's a remedy for people who are independent. It's for people who work a lot and can get really overtired and don't recognize that that's what is happening to them. But here, the key things are what makes them feel better and what makes them feel worse. And somebody who feels better for physical exertion, for physical exercise, and in particular for dancing, this is one of the remedies that you would think of. And that's exactly what I gave her. And it really made a huge difference to her grinding problem. She lives in a different country now. This is like, 15 years ago. So I haven't been in touch with her, but it was a really nice way of seeing, what happens when a remedy like that is given.
It's so amazing, isn't it, that actually we have got books. People say to me, now you're going to think I'm really silly when I say this. And then you think, oh no, that's lovely that you said that, because it absolutely matches what is written in my book. And you, when you first read the book, you think, well, nobody's going to say that. And when you start to get into the depths of a personality, they really do express the words that have been said for, 200 years. Some of our books were written.
Yeah. Exactly. So that brings me back to the point that I was making previously about the words that people use.
Yes.
Why is that important? Because we have seen over time, again and again and again, that people who need certain remedies will reflect the qualities of that remedy. And the qualities of that remedy can be manifested in the way that somebody speaks. So love of dancing. I mean, I love dancing, and certainly Sepia is one of the remedies that has been given to me in the past. It's not the only one, but it's a biggie.
Yes.
And the need to go out and say jog or go to the gym, and if you feel really better after that, that says something about you. Not everyone feels that way.
That's right. That's right. And quite often we do think, well, surely that's the same for everybody. That's the same for everybody. And it's not until we have these in-depth conversations that you start to realize that we all have completely different ideas of what is fun, what is not fun.
And also you think that what you are is the norm.
Yes.
And that probably most people are like that. And that is something that I've learned over time, that everybody tends to think that, this is normal. Other people do that as well, don't they? And that's fine. And that may well be the case, but it isn't necessarily the case. And that's gold dust for homeopath.
Yes, of course. And that's why quite often we ask questions that people think, well, surely they know the answer to that. What is pain for you? Is a classic, isn't it? Because if everybody were to experience pain differently, then we have got a whole set of symptoms just in that I've got pain sentence.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And it can be quite difficult for people because a doctor will never ask you, well, what is the nature of your pain? Yeah. And so if you've never thought about that before, it's not the most obvious thing in the world. So it can be quite difficult to think about yourself. But homeopathy encourages you to think about yourself. It encourages you to think about what things feel like, whether it's a physical feeling or whether it's an emotional feeling. And you get to know yourself better.
And I think when you have a new client or somebody comes to homeopathy for the first time and all of these things are new and these questions, but they begin on this homeopathic journey, and after 3 months they're beginning to say, well, I'm sure you want to know this, and oh, I really thought about this and I found that. And quite often we'll get an email or something back afterwards, well, I had this pain and actually I know now because I really thought about it. And that is what is so lovely, isn't it, to see people, homeopathy gives people the chance to learn about their bodies, about their symptoms, and about their reactions, whether that's
you get to know
emotional.
yourself better.
Yeah.
And there's, for me, that's a very important part of the journey of life, is to get to know yourself better. So it's very important to me. And I think if people realize that that is something that they can do, it becomes more important in their lives as well. And they recognize that in their family as well.
Yes, yes, indeed. Because of course, many people that we speak to are very busy mums, working, lots of children. They don't get the opportunity to talk about themselves, about their feelings, or explore things deeper. And we do encourage people to do that all of the time, don't we?
I think a lot of people have said to me at the end, oh my goodness, I've just spoken about myself for an hour and a half.
Yes.
And I'm not sure whether they're sort of pleasantly surprised or not. But I think it gives them you don't get a chance to talk about yourself for an hour and a half on an everyday basis. Where do you do that? So it's this very sacred space, I think, that you have with the homeopath, where you're given the time to just be mindful of yourself, to think about yourself. And some people say it's navel gazing. I don't say that. I think that it's important for us to know more about ourselves. And in our busy lives that everybody has, we don't make time to do that. And homeopathy gives you a chance to do that.
It certainly does. It certainly does. So those two cases we talked about, dairy intolerance and teeth grinding, you used two specific remedies that came up from the whole picture. So what we're saying is that homeopathy certainly can help people that have these problems, and the cat allergies, of course, as well. You talked about cystitis in there too. So there are many, many issues that are going to be leading to the particular remedy that we're choosing. And really, we're just working with somebody together to be able to find the right remedy that suits them.
I think that relationship between you and your client is very important. They need to like and trust you. And part of the homeopathic process is one of building up trust. It's very important to me. I spend a lot of time with some people explaining about homeopathy, what it means, and so on. That's something that Homeopathy 24/7 has been really instrumental, actually, for me in showing me how important that is, to build that relationship and to be as transparent as possible about what you're doing, what you might expect to happen, and how you then deal with it.
Yes, because of course with Homeopathy 24/7, we are talking to people who we don't know their full history. We're just helping them in the moment. And we also don't know how much they know about homeopathy and what might happen after you've taken a remedy. So we do have to have all sorts of conversations around that, don't we?
Yeah. And if you're not familiar with homeopathy, I can see that it can be quite daunting. I remember when I was first told about homeopathy, it didn't make any sense to me at all. But there was something about it that really interested me because it was quirky, it was different, and I stayed with it, and I'm still with it.
Thank goodness you did. But I do have to say that beware anybody thinking about going down the homeopathic journey, because it's just a lifelong learning, isn't it? We just love it. We spend a lot of time continuing study, and it does make me giggle sometimes with other therapists when they talk about continued learning and practice. And I think, gosh, homeopaths, we have a trouble to stop learning, don't we? We do course after course after course, because it is, and anybody, not even if you're a homeopath, just if you start getting interested in it, there is so much that is suddenly going to blow your mind. Beware, because you'll be wanting to read lots of books. You'll be wanting to do lots of courses because it is absolutely enthralling. Thank you so much for joining me today, Anjum. It's been lovely, lovely talking to you. And don't we just love talking about homeopathy?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mary.
It was really, really interesting talking to Anjum today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Next week, we will be accompanied by Rachel, who is another one of our team homeopaths, and she's going to be talking about her favourite remedies. Now, these are miasmatic remedies, strangely enough, that Rachel's going to be talking about. So it'll be a really good introduction to them and what they are and how it helps people, everybody around you. Once you know a little bit about miasmatic remedies, it's so exciting. I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.